post basic BSc nursing third year students who are enrolled in Daily Study Center, that is RAK College of Nursing. On behalf of Program in Charge Dr. Harinder Goyal, I, Dr. Neerja Sood, as an academic counselor, welcome you to the session on BNS 110, that is Nursing Administration, Unit 1 and 2. I am very happy that most of you are doing a group work very nicely and replied to all the questions. I think your basic things you have already read. I will emphasize on some of the important aspects regarding the basics of management. What is management? As one of you told me to explain management in a very simple way, how you people apply management things in day-to-day life. I told you management is applicable at all the places. When you manage your home, when you manage your office, you apply all the management principles. In a simple words, I would like to say, you plan your work. When you go back home from your duty for the next day, you plan all your activities, what tomorrow you are going to do. You make a list. And who will do this work? How you will do? Where you will do? Then in how much time you will able to complete the work. And when you come back, you see that what all things you were able to complete, what is pending, and how the things has been done. Same way, when you reach to the hospital, you plan the patient care. You give the patient care using all the resources available. You work with your team. Then you evaluate your care and hand over to the next team to do the patient care. So in this way, I think all of you can now understand you manage all your affairs of your life and apply all the principles and elements of management in your daily life wherever you are working. So management principles and elements are provided everywhere in your daily life, that is your home, workplace, hospital, education institution, or any business. In simple words, management is getting the things done. In management, first objectives are set, that is what you are going to achieve, and then you try to achieve these objectives. Like I will give you one example. Suppose you are a nurse administrator or your own nurse administrator in your hospital will set an objective. Next year in my ward, there will be no case of post-operative infection in year 2020-21. Will train all my staff on infection control practices within 6 months. Will supervise my staff as per supervisory schedule in the year 2020-21. So she has set objectives for herself that she will do all these activities in the year. So in this way, she will try to complete these objectives when she will make the plan and use all the available resources. So in the management, what are the objectives? How you set the objectives? What is to be done? How much is to be done? Where it is to be done? When it is to be completed? Why objectives are set by the managers? You must have seen your medical superintendent and nursing superintendent telling you these work we have to complete by this much time. Why they set these objectives? As rightly said by one of the author, if you are not sure where you have to go, then you are liable to reach somewhere else. Same way, if your organization do not set objectives what they want to achieve, they will not be able to provide quality patient care to the patients. So in the simple term, management means getting the things done through the people. This is my introduction to this unit. Today I have an expert from the management field, Ms. Sukriti. She is an analyst and she will explain you about the basic concepts of management and what is the difference between management and administration. I welcome Ms. Sukriti to you this session. I hope you will have a good interaction with her.
Thank you so much, Dr. Nija. So there are three basic school of thoughts when it comes to management versus administration. There's one group of experts which define both of them as the same terms. That is, that there is no difference between management or administration because both of them are processes to achieve certain objectives in an organization, objectives which are predefined. However, we have certain two other thoughts as well. There is one school of thought called as the American School of Thought, which says that administration is a broader concept as compared to management. So what that means is that administration provides the frameworks, it sets the rules and policies and resources under this framework, management functions and management executes certain orders to achieve the objectives. The exact opposite to an American school of thought, we have a British school of thought, which says that management is the one which is a broader concept. That is, management is the one that sets the certain framework and policies in an organization, and administration functions inside management. So in this way, we see that there is a difference when we think of them as different terms. The broader concept is the thinking concept. That is, when we talk about American school, we say administration is a thinking function and management is an execution function. And similarly, in British school of thought, management is called as a thinking function and administration as an executive function which executes. But regardless of whatever definition we follow, we have to understand that both of these terms are highly interrelated and dependent on each other. None of this can function without the other.
Thank you, Ms. Sukriti. Very nicely you have explained to my students what is the difference between management and administration. I think students must have cleared their doubts about, because this was the one of the question which I have received, what is the difference between management and administration. As per Henry Fayol, management is forecast, to plan, to organize, to command, to coordinate and to control. What do you understand by this? Do you get something? That means he has given you the elements of management we will study later. Now, what is the significance of management? Why we should teach a nurse manager all these aspects? Have you ever thought of this? Tomorrow you will become a nurse manager. Will it be useful to you? So answer yourself after understanding the definition of management, significance and nature of management. As I have already told you, management is universally necessary in all the organizations and success of organization depends upon the management. How the managers manage their institution, it is very important. So the management help the managers to work within the organizational objectives and help managers to get an insight into the reality. What is the reality? Then only they can plan for an organization. Then optimal utilization of all the resources, man, money, material. Then evidence-based decision making is being taken by them. That means they utilize all the minimum resources available to provide quality patient care and to minimize the cost of an institution. You are working in a hospital. Every time you must have seen your medical and nursing superintendent saying, we do not have budget. We have to our budget is being cut. We are not being provided with the more human resource. We have to work within the human resource constraints. So how the manager manage all these resources within the constraints, still provide the quality patient care. That is very important. Then evidence-based decision making is taken. The decisions are based on evidence, not abruptly decisions are taken. Every manager should take evidence-based decision which will be very effective for your organization. Then meeting the changing environmental challenges, maybe due to any political decisions or maybe social aspects have changed, the need and demands have changed. As now you have seen the COVID-19 has come. What is the need and demand? The demand is to take care of the COVID patient rather than providing basic care to the patient. That's why all the OPDs and the routine operations of the hospitals are closed. So social needs are taken care of. This is a big challenge today. Any legal amendments in the rules, acts, one has to see. So these are some of the environmental challenges what your supervisor is facing. So this management helps in achieving the organizational objectives, goals by giving direction to all the individual efforts. Management increases efficiency by increasing the output and reducing the cost through better planning, organizing, directing and controlling. It helps in achieving the personal goals by leading a team and motivating the members in a way that every member achieve their personal goals. I will explain this. All of you have your own personal goals and you work in an organization to achieve the goals of an organization. If you achieve the organizational goals and organization provide good quality care and patients are satisfied, indirectly you also get satisfied when you get promotions in time, when you get rewards, when you get motivated and appreciation by your seniors. So in this way, when you achieve the organizational goal, your individual goals are also fulfilled. Then your organization will plan welfare activities more for you. They will send you for training and other things. Then create a dynamic organization by changing goals and actions to achieve them in changing environment, which already I have explained you. Sukriti, can you explain something about the nature of management?
Yes, sure. So management is, as we discussed, it is a process which encompasses working with people and getting certain things done to achieve certain objectives. So in this way, we can define the nature that it is a process which is very intellectual, because you are looking, like you mentioned, it is very evidence based. So you have to look at what are the facts, what is the data, what the evidence or research says, and then take a smart decision. So it is intellectual process as well as it is a dynamic process, because the situations, say in a hospital, situations will always be very, very different. So you cannot have one approach that you follow all the time. You have to look at what the situation demands and accordingly you have to take a decision. So it is a very dynamic process, that is an ever-changing process. Similarly, it is also a continuous process, because this happens, management or administration happen at every level and you do them every day. So it is a continuous process which keeps on repeating and repeating. For say for year, you set certain objectives for an year, and then how do you achieve those? You set quarterly objectives, and then to achieve those quarterly objectives, you perform certain functions every day. So it is a continuous process as well as a social process as well, because in management, what you are doing is that you are managing people to get certain work done out of them. You have to look at your employees, you have to look at your subordinates, colleagues, your seniors, as well as the patients or the clients or customers that your organization has. So it has a very human component as well. So it is a social process also. Then we can say that so therefore we say it is a universal holistic process which happens in every organization, be it a hospital, be it an educational institution, be it a government, municipality, for example. Everywhere it happens. So it's very universal and very holistic, as it comprises of all of the parts. You cannot say that, okay, I will plan, but I will not do organizing, or I will not do staffing. So you have to take care of all of the aspects, and therefore it is called as a holistic process as well.
So thank you, Ms. Sukriti, very nicely explaining that what is the nature of the management. And in other words, management is science and art also. In a science means it has a systematic body of knowledge and universally applicable, as she has very nicely explained to you. Why it is an art? It has its own skills. Certain skills are there: intellectual, communication skills, your intellectual, technical skills, human skills. Then it's a continuous practice, and innovative and imaginative ideas are being used by the managers to solve the problem. So it is an science and art also. There are 3 levels of management. So there are intellectual, top, middle, and the first level. First level, and type of skills you need for that. So in this way, what is the top? Who is the top manager? Top manager is your medical superintendent, nursing superintendent, your DMS, additional MS, who makes plan, policies, and monitor and evaluate the progress of the work of the hospital. And middle level is your all the departmental heads, your ANS, your departmental head of surgery, OB, labor room, operation theatre, casualty, OPD in charges. All these are middle level. Your first level supervisors are immediate unit heads, nursing, senior nursing officers. They are your first level or the front level supervisors who supervise the work of, immediately supervise the work. They need certain skills, that is intellectual, human, and technical skills. Intellectual means thinking, analytical, and decision making skills and IT skills. Then human skills are effective communication, empathy, building IPR, encouraging and motivating the employees, and other soft and social skills. Then technical skills are required, that is professional and occupational skills. So let us see at which level more skills are required. What type of skills are required? At the top level, it is more of intellectual skills. Why? Because they have to critically think, analyze the situation, take decisions. Therefore, more of intellectual skills at the top level, less of human and technical skills. Why less of human and technical? None of your head of the organization will have more of empathy or communication skills directly with the frontline workers. So they should have all these skills, but they should have more of intellectual skills. The middle level, they should have more of human skills and intellectual skills, and less of technical. Why less of technical? They should know how to do the procedures and basic things. But human skills, because they have to get the work done from the frontline workers. That is very important for them. They have to communicate with them effectively. They should have good IPR because they have to coordinate with all the departments. And intellectual skills, it is little less than top level because they have to take decision based on the policies and decisions. Then the front line, they should have more of technical skills, because unless your first line supervisor who has to do the work, get the work done, do not know the technical skills, they will not be able to get the work done. They should add more of human skills, because they have to communicate with the all your frontline workers at your nurses, supervisors, support staff, and they should have empathy with the patients, good IPR with all the staff, good IPR with the patient and the family. They should encourage and motivate the staff who are working daily in the 3 shifts, although even the support staff. But intellectual skills has to be little less, because they are not taking very decision making at the top level. They are taking day-to-day decision which are useful for their patient care. So for this thing, I will say what are some of the features of management. I will try to tell you. Management is goal oriented, as Ms. Sukriti has already explained you. There is an objective or goals are there. It is a group activity. No person can complete the work alone. It is a teamwork. It is pervasive, that is, it is applied in all type of institutions at all level. It is multi-dimensional, that is management of work, management of people, management of resources, that is to provide quality patient care to the patient. It is a continuous process. It is a dynamic function, as she has told you. So in nutshell, these are some of the features. I will request her to explain what is effective management and what are the factors that affect the effective management.
So when we talk about effective management, that means that all of the parties, all of the stakeholders, you are meeting their expectations. So number one, very important of course, is to achieve the objectives that are defined. That is, your targets should be achieved. But along with that, you have to take care of your employees as well. So there should be good interpersonal relationships between the employees in the organization. What is your duty to the clients or the patients? That is, whatever timelines or schedules you have made, they are met and achieved. So an effective management does what? It makes sure that the targets are achieved on time. It makes sure all deadlines are met. No deadline is breached. It makes sure there is a good relationship among all the people in the organization, and also that your organization has a good image or PR with the general public. So an effective manager makes sure that all of the parties and the needs of all of the different parties are met and achieved. So how does one become an effective manager? So there are certain skills that somebody should have to be called as an effective manager. Most important of that is that you should be knowledgeable about the inputs that you have and about the policies of your organization. That is, you cannot manage the resources unless you know what all resources are available to you. So a manager should be well aware of all the men, material, machines, all of the resources that he has, and whatever are the policies and rules of the organization, so that he can use those resources within the limits or policies set by the organization. Along with that, you have to have good leadership skills, because a manager has to lead people and he has to motivate his employees, his subordinates, and encourage them, give counseling to them when needed. So you should be a good leader as well. Similarly, you should have good communication skills. Communication skills means being a good listener, so that you can listen to the viewpoints and opinions of all of your staff and all your patients and clients as well. And at the same time, then communicate your decisions properly to them, so that everyone understands what they have to do, what is to be done, and what their role is. You have to have good HR skills, human resource skills, so that you manage the people well. Along with this, you have to be you have to have a foresight of how things will go, and you have to plan so that you can plan accordingly about the future. So you have to think about the future as well. So be future oriented. Make sure that you develop a capable workforce also. A good manager is not one who just focuses on developing himself or herself. he makes sure that all of the employees are also developed. So he invests in the development of his workforce so that if anything happens to him, the organization should not come to a standstill. That is, organization's work should go on and people are there who are capable enough to run the organization as well. Then you safeguard the assets. That is, you have a lot of resources, you have building, you have machinery, but having them is not enough. You make sure that you maintain them properly. So a manager looks into the maintenance, looks into the proper accounting of resources and safeguarding those resources. A good manager also practices participative management. That means that some authority, some responsibility is given to everyone in the organization at all levels so that everybody has some accountability. Everybody is responsible for their own jobs, answerable for their own jobs, and also they feel a sense of independence and pride in the work that they do. This also leads to an increase in productivity for the entire organization. So along with that, you have to make sure that as a good manager, the instructions that you give are very, very proper and very clear. And also lastly, a manager has to be very result oriented, because at the end of the day, the job description of a good manager is to make sure that he achieves the objectives. So result orientation is very important.
Thank you, Ms. Sukriti. Very nicely, I think you have explained to my students about the effective management. Now I will just tell you in brief about the management process steps, which we will deal later in various other units. Management is a process, as in the beginning I have also explained you, and Ms. Sukriti has also explained you, that it has continuous process. It is planning, organizing, staffing, directing and controlling. So these are and it goes on this cycle. It's a continuous cycle. So, and on the other hand, the same elements are also known as functions of management. The first most important function of management is planning. Planning is setting objectives and formulating action plan and adhere to the objectives, like what is to be done and how is to be done. Planning is where we are today and where we want to go in future. So bridging this gap where we are today and where we are going is known as planning. Planning proceed all the functions of management and they are performed within the framework of planning. That means planning puts a base for all other functions, that is organizing, staffing, directing, controlling and motivating. The steps of planning, I think all of you plan patient care. You have read your nursing process. How do you plan? You do assessment, then you set objectives, set priority of the patient care, make a nursing care plan, implement it and evaluate it. Same way, the manager set organizational goals and objective, draft what they want to achieve, develop the planning premises, that is manager make a certain assumptions for the future. You cannot plan for the future. You can plan for the future, but you are not sure you will be able to achieve or not. You have to assume when you plan that this you will be able to do it. This is known as planning premises, and plans are made on these assumptions. Assumptions are the forms of in the form of cost and the demands what your organization needs. I think Ms. Sukriti, can you explain this in your managerial terms?
Sure. So when you plan, so basically planning is a function that is very, very dependent on how foresighted a manager is. So as a manager, you must be able to understand what are the trends happening or what is happening in the world around you, so that you can predict to some level what will be the demand in by the customers or by the patients or by the clients, what will come in the future in terms of the demand and of course in terms of the cost. So say you have certain machines that you need for care of patients. Will the machines go, or the price of machines go up? Should you have them? Should you not have them? So the costs that would be associated with treating the patients as well. So you have to look into that as well. So as a manager, you have to understand where your costs and demands will go in the future and plan accordingly, because it is through these costs that you will do your resource planning. You will figure out how many more staff you need or how many more machines you need, and it is through this demand or in trends that you can understand that what is it for which you will need all of these resources. So if you have certain, like for right now we have COVID-19 that is going on, so now you have to see that in the future where this will go, and accordingly what are the resources and what are the skills that we would be needing, that so that we can start from today to train the people and get the resources.
Thank you so much. Very nicely you have explained with the example and with the real time situation. So steps of planning, again I will repeat, it is setting objectives, developing the plan premises, then identifying the alternative plan of action, evaluating all the alternative action plan, selecting the best one, then formulating the final plan, implement it, follow up and evaluate it. The second function is organizing. It is a process of defining and grouping the activities of an organization and establishing authority relationship among them. Organizing implies a process which coordinates human efforts, assemble resources and integrate everything in a whole. That means organization defines what type of activities they will do, who will do all these activities, where it will be done and when it will be done. Therefore, we have different type of health professional in the hospitals, specialists, GDMOs, nurses of various categories, support staff, all the various departments, because you have to provide a comprehensive patient care. Again, the organization is a process. It has the following steps: identification and division of the work is done, what type of work is to be done and who will do. Then departments are being formed, departmentalization is done. Then assignment of duties, that is your job description is being framed out. First job analysis is done, departments are made, then job description is being made, then established a reporting relationship. That means how the employees will report from top to down and down to top. In this way the organizing is being done. Then third function is staffing. That means putting people to right job or filling up the right job with the right people. When you select people, when you put an advertisement, you put certain conditions for the recruitment rules. Why? Because you want to select nurses for the nursing job, doctors for the medical job, other paramedical staff for their respective job. Then there are certain steps in the staffing also. First is estimate the manpower requirement. Then you do recruitment, selection, placement, induction and orientation. Training is being done, career development, promotion, welfare activities and compensations. Then performance appraisal and retention of the staff. So these are the steps of your staffing. Now comes the directing. It reflects the process of instructing, guiding, motivating, leading, counseling your staff in an organization to achieve the objective. Directing is telling people what to do, sending them, seeing them what they do, and the best of their abilities are being used. The elements of directing are supervision, leadership, motivation and communication. Here I would like to emphasize in brief Supervision or directing is not finding the faults. It is actually supporting your staff and guiding them. If they do not know anything, you have to teach them. I will request Miss Sukriti just in few lines if she can emphasize on this aspect.
Yes, so very rightly said that it is not finding faults. The task of a manager is to motivate the people. As a manager, you have to understand what is it that your people are lacking, your staff is lacking or not able to do, and understand their mindsets as well, and give them counseling as and when required. If they are doing a bad job, of course in supervision there is that you tell them to do a better job, and there are negative consequences for that, and make sure that they get the job done. But at the same time, if they're doing a good job or a very excellent job, it is also the duty of manager to give positive reinforcement and to congratulate the staff as well for doing the job very, very correctly. So supervision and directing has both aspects, positive and negative as well.
Thank you, Miss Sukriti. You have explained very nicely to them. I hope it is clear to them. Now the last one is controlling. It is the means to see how the performance of your organization is being carried out in the long run. It is the measurement of your performance against some standards. Like nursing audit, you have read in your foundation course, nursing audit, input, process and outcome are the three concepts. Measurement of output against the standards and the correction of deviations if there is any. So what are the steps of this? First, you have to establish the standards. Actual performance is to be noted. Then you measure the actual performance, compare the standards with the actual performance, identify the deviations, determine the reasons for the deviations, then make a plan, corrective plan, implement it and again evaluate it. As she has rightly told you, you don't have to punish anyone, but first find out the reason, train them, then again evaluate. If they do not do, then you can take some disciplinary action if they are doing purposefully. Then is budgeting, the most important part. If you have everything but you do not have money, your organization cannot do anything. Budgeting is the process of creating a plan to spend money. So your manager, you must have seen whenever you send a report, they will say, no, I cannot give you so much of staff. I cannot give so much of money for these activities. They cut because they have restrictions. They have to work within the cost constraints they have to work. Spending money is known as budgeting, and spending plan determines the advances, whether you have enough money to do the things. Budgeting is balancing expenses with the income. Budgeting is important in decision making. That's why we say your administrator needs critical analytic skills to see how innovatively and creatively they can make a plan by using the limited resources. Budget is a financial plan for a defined period of a year, and reallocation of resources is done. I will request Ms. Sukriti to put some highlight on audit and budgeting in few lines.
So budgeting, as rightly mentioned, is very, very important because you cannot go out of budget. As a manager, you can have the best plan, you can have the best ideas, but if you do not have money to achieve it, you cannot do anything. So therefore, budgeting as a financial tool also gives you proper accounting and also gives you good credit worthiness and good responsibility and good trustworthiness in the eyes of your organization and in the eyes of general public also, that you are not doing lavish spending or any useless spending, and that every penny that you are spending is very useful.
So that you remember all the principles, and these principles we will read again in detail when we will go in the future units. So let us review what we have learned today. It is, what is management, what are the features of management, what are the levels